is a religion that governs all matters including leadership. Leadership is a crucial topic that has been used to spread da'wah and is the most vital tool for creating a perfect society that is built on justice and compassion. In Islam, leadership is defined as a person who leads followers away from the verge of disaster and onto the path of Allah. A person must possess the trait or qualities of a leader in order to be a leader. Both the Islamic and Western worldviews have different ideas on the trait or qualities of a leader. In this video, we will focus on the trait or qualities of a leader from Islamic perspective that have been mentioned in the Quran.
First and foremost, the Holy Quran mentions that one of the qualities of a leader is knowledgeable. Islam emphasizes knowledge so much so that the Quran starts its revelation with the word Iqra, that means read. The Dewan Dictionary explains that knowledge is knowledge means ilm and intelligence in matters pertaining to the world and afterlife, the outside and inner world, and others, while Islamic Encyclopedia defines knowledge as the absence of ignorance. According to Razi, knowledgeable is defined as having a firm grasp of a concept or body of research and demonstrating it through practice and sharp analysis. Leadership requires knowledge preparation in order to govern the world or an organization. This was clarified by Allah in Surah Baqarah verse 31 as Allah prepared Prophet Adam AS with a vast knowledge before appointing him as a Khalid. Sayyidina Umar also once said, "Tafaqahu qabla an tusawwadu," which means you should be a faqih or study before being elected as a leader. Knowledge is important in all areas of leadership, as an example in national administration and educational sector. So, the national leaders ought to first become knowledgeable about effective national governance and learn Fidaulah before taking the throne. Further, the Medina Charter founded by Rasulullah should be learned and used as a model in their leadership. The role model for knowledgeable leaders can be seen through the Prophet Muhammad and the four Khalid. Their authorities and knowledge covers a wide range of areas such as religion, education, finance and economy, and the conquest of Constantinople by Sultan Muhammad Al-Fatih also demonstrate his thorough knowledge and familiarity with military strategy.
Besides that, based on the Holy Quran regarding Islamic management and the Muslim perspective, scholar, patient or tolerant sub is one of the leader's essential character traits. According to Bardai, patient refers to the ability to bear the difficult without being anxious and wait for the result no matter how slow it, while also being willing to face the burden no matter how heavy it is with a calm heart and precise thinking. Al-Quran also mentioned about patience and tolerance based on Surah Sajdah verse 24. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا صَبَرُوا وَكَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يُوقِنُونَ. It means with the quality of sub, a leader can successfully deal with even the worst situation and problems. As example, the Malaysian government successfully demonstrated patient-based leadership when the COVID-19 epidemic hit our nation. In addition to rise in the number of COVID-19 positive and death, the Malaysian government was also dealing with a lot of pandemic issues that require the power of patient to resolve. For instance, 15 health officers and former senior officers wrote to Muhyiddin Yassin in January 2021 to express their disapproval of the movement control order.
The Holy Quran also mentions justice as an essential quality that makes for effective leaders in the workplace. Islam requires all its followers, especially the leaders, to uphold and act justly in each situation. Justice is derived from the Arabic word al-ad, which means just or fair, and is expressed in the Quran by the words al-ad, al-qis and al-mizan. Justice in Islam is not merely an idea, but rather a command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as stated in Surah An-Nahl verses 19. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna Allah ya'muru bil-adli wal-ihsani wa ita'i dhil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsya'i wal munkari wal Indeed, Allah ordered justice and good conduct and giving to relative and forbids immorality and bad conduct and operations. He admonishes you that perhaps you will be reminded. Upholding justice is an order of Allah. Therefore, leaders must carry out all matters carefully, honestly and sincerely, whether for worldly matters or religious matters. In addition, Islam places such a high value on justice in leadership. Prophet Muhammad SAW declared, there are 7 categories of people whom good Allah will shelter under His shade on the day when there will be no shade except His. One is the just leader, Sahih Muslim. In a nutshell, the concept of justice is important to oneself, religion, country and others. Therefore, leaders should be more aware and concerned about the issues of equality, fairness and justice. Leaders must treat their subordinates and pupils in an equal manner. No one should receive special treatment or special consideration except when his or her situation demands it. Fairness is one of the keys to success and obtaining the expected result, as well to achieve peace, prosperity and happiness in the world and the hereafter.
The next qualities that been mentioned in the Quran is the spirit of sacrifice. Leadership and sacrifice are crucial for the success of any community, organization, or ummah, whether it is small or large. Allah declares in the Quran, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لم تقولون ما لا تفعلون كبر مقتا عند الله أن تقولوا ما لا تفعلون. You who have believed, why do you say what you do not do? The fullest of you in the sight of Allah is he who say that which he does not practice. Based on these verses, we can deduce that a leader must take the initiative to carry out his own task before giving orders to subordinates. For instance, if a leader instructs his followers to commit to a task, the leader must do the same thing rather than relying on his followers to do the duty. If employees sacrifice their time to dedicate themselves to finishing duties, then we as a leader must sacrifice our time as well. Islam views sacrifice as a representation of a person's willingness to give up their life as well as all their other interests and desire for the sake of the truth. Leaders who assume additional responsibilities can anticipate sacrificing some of their own personal freedoms. Throughout history, Muslims have exhibited their willingness to make sacrifice in Allah's name. All the prophets engaged in jihad to uphold the truth, at times leave their homes and families and even giving their life to further the truth. To sum it up, it is crucial to remember the fact that each person has a different capacity for making sacrifice. Even Sayyidina Umar was unable to match what Abu Bakr accomplished. In addition, leaders should learn from the Prophet and his companions' appearances, including how they lead and sacrifice for the sake of the Ummah. Indeed, the sacrifice of life and wealth in the way of Allah is the zenith of a man's belief.
Perform prayer with reverence that prayer, zikir, praise, spending wealth in the way of God and the benefit of mankind by such good deeds. Islamic leaders should perform and be sincere good deeds in their work because it is fundamental to human values in their duties as caliphs. This quality proves that human realize their existence is very dependent on the presence of others. Good deeds have been clarified in Surah Al-Anbiya verse 105. Islam explains a deed can provide great benefits for oneself and others are good deeds. There are some verses and explanations about good deeds in the Al-Quran such as in the Surah Al-Baqarah verse 25 and Surah Al-Ankabut verse 7. The good deeds quality baru naik in Surah Al-Kahfi verse 88. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Wa amma man amana wa 'amila salihan falahu jazaa'anil husna wa sanaqulu lahu min amrina yusra. It explained to us that his actions should be emulated by every Muslim leader because he made sure the quality of a good life and Islam requires for humankind to live, like giving shares and trying to save his people's hoarding by going to them.
Besides, another leadership quality mentioned in the sacred book of Islam is integrity. According to Nawawi, integrity was referring to siddiq, trust, which is essence mean being honest, truthful and trustworthy. Meanwhile, according to Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka, integrity mean honesty, thus integrity mean acting and speaking honestly and truthfully in all dealing. Also, integrity was cardinal because of its influence on human development and its significance in creating a better society for future generation. Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala highlighted it in Surah An-Nisa verse 58. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna Allah ya'murukum an tu'addu amanati ila ahliha wa idha hakamtum bainan nas an tahkumu bil 'adl. Inna Allah ni'ma ya'idhukum bih. Inna Allah kana sami'an basira. Based on Surah An-Nisa verse 58, it focused on integrity by highlighting of importance of fulfilling trust and judging with fairness when making decision. Then according to Zin, the Sunnah record the Prophet Muhammad SAW as the ultimate model of leadership. Fulfilling human nature showed the attribute of trust. As we know, Prophet Muhammad SAW had to deal with various challenges to conveying Islam. In order to give the Prophet political clout and sway, Abu Jahl suggested making him king. He also promised the Prophet stunning ladies and enormous wealth to persuade him to abandon his mission. The Prophet's refusal of Abu Jahl's proposal revealed the depth of his integrity and devotion to his role as the last of Allah's SWT messenger. In a nutshell, integrity is crucial because leadership decisions and moral behavior are influenced by a person's integrity. Even when faced with difficult decisions, leader with integrity put what is right first. The proof is that Prophet Muhammad SAW succeeded in conveying the teaching of Islam until now, when Islam has become a strong and free religion to follow without fear.
Humility can be defined as the person's consideration of his restriction and his attempt to find a new way to solve those restrictions, even if it is by the help of others. Allah describes humility in the Quran using a variety of Arabic terms such as tawadu and zuhud. Among concepts that can be put under humility leadership is servant leadership, which describes service to followers as the primary responsibility of the leaders. Islam stressed that both leaders and followers are servants of Allah and encourage all followers to fear Allah and submit to the leaders as narrated by Allah in Surah An-Nisa, ayah 59. This quality has been proven by Rasulullah SAW in many events. One of it is from the conquest of Makkah. He made it clear that he did not arrive in Makkah as an invading king, but rather as the son of a lady who concealed victories. Among the benefits of having this quality of leadership for a leader is, in education sector, humility helps an education administrator become a proactive person who is willing to have a decent attitude of submission and servanthood. This can be a key to welcoming students and other people to get closer to school and beneficial to interact with faculties, administrators, and others from various backgrounds and culture.
My first point is definition of accountability. Accountability in Islam based on two levels. First one, each man is responsibility for his or her own action or deeds. Second level, each man is responsibility for his or her position or authority as well as things that are under his or her care or charge. To make it easier for you to understand, we call them as a leader who take responsibilities both on himself and his dependents. Secondly is the concept of accountability. The concept of accountability is emphasize individual responsibility, free will, and the belief. At second point is it serves as a guiding principle for ethical behavior, social responsibility, and personal growth. In addition, the concept of accountability extends beyond the political system to include every aspect of life, even in the most private. This is a point impressed by the Hadith SAW, which begin with the general but firm statement. Every one of you is a shepherd and every one of you is responsible for his flock. In other verses, in Surah Al-Ghashiyah verses 25 until 26, shows that Allah will hold us particularly leaders for all doing. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Inna ilayna iyabahum thumma inna alayna hisabahum. Sadaqallahul azim. Which means, verily to us will be their return, then verily for us will be their reckoning. The last verses that I would like to read for you is it about if the administrative component are successfully carried out in accordance with Islamic law, Allah will grant the leader with a great reward. As he mentioned in Surah Al-Zalzalah, verses 7 until 8, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Sadaqallahul azim. Which means, and whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it, and whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it. Al-Zalzalah. Lastly, Prophet Muhammad and the rightly guide caliphs have exemplified responsibility in their leadership. So, we have to follow our Prophet Muhammad until we success.
In conclusion, the main concept of Islamic leadership is to lead in order to achieve and compete to be ahead of others to seek the measure of Allah and success hereafter. Islamic leader influence the organization development by conducting different leadership activities in the basement of ethical standards. The qualities mentioned above are the essential leadership qualities that should be possessed by the leader: knowledgeable, patient, sabr, justice, al-ad, a spirit of sacrifice, good deeds, integrity, honesty, humility, and accountability involve the inseparable relationship between the Creator, Khaliq, and His creatures, as well as the relationship between mankind and other creatures. This is because the quality of leadership in Islam is not only aimed at the goal of giving satisfaction to employees or subordinates or the enjoyment of life in the world, but even the goal is also to achieve the mardatillah, pleasure of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in all matters in the world, for the sake of happiness in the world and afterlife.